Good morning. Welcome to Brunch with Brian, your home investing live stream. We are here today on April 8th. It's an awesome day and an important day, and I'm going to talk about something this morning that's very near and dear to my heart and maybe one of the most important things I ever talk about, depending on your situation. But I will tell you that I'm going to talk about overcoming addiction, okay, but not how you think, okay? Because I'm telling you right now, you're addicted to something. You are addicted. You are an addict, and you just don't recognize it. But what are you addicted to? Now, some things you're addicted to are actually good. So you could actually, Lynette's addicted to hiking. She can't stop going hiking. And when she gets a little time in her schedule, she'll grab Willow and run off to go hiking. And she'll give me about a 2-minute warning and say, hey, you want to go hiking? And so some things you're addicted to are good. There are probably some food items that you're addicted to. Now, listen, let's not get crazy. I mean, if you're addicted to having a little mint after your dinner or something, that's not so bad. But if you're addicted to having a huge whopping banana split every night, I mean, that's going to have certain repercussions. And so I want you to start looking at the things that you're addicted to. Today is Betty Ford's birthday. So it's actually alcohol screening day today. And there was a lot of alcohol challenges in my family, my mom, and I had my bouts with the alcohol. And so I think that no matter what we're talking about here, and it could be, I don't want you to specifically focus on that, even though it's Betty Ford's birthday. Now, remember, if you don't know about Betty Ford, she was married to Gerald Ford, president who took over after Nixon, and she founded the Betty Ford Clinic. And now it's called the Betty Ford Center, but it was a place to help people overcome addiction. And what's great is she lived to be 93 years old, even though she battled alcoholism at some point in her life. So that's great. And so let's look at things. Now, here's what I really want you to start examining is not just what you're addicted to, maybe like an activity. You might be addicted to an activity, and that's fine. If you just, I hope you're addicted to going to church Sundays and having fun with your friends bowling now that things are getting back to normal. And so hopefully you're addicted to positive, great activities, and you stick with those. But let's face it, you're probably addicted to some things. And I will tell you that one thing that you can be addicted to is TV. And so I want you to look at your TV. Now, probably you're fine. And if you watch, several hours of TV a day, there's some great TV, and I don't have a big issue with that so long as what? So long as your other areas don't suffer. So I talk a lot about roles. So when you're watching TV, when you're sitting there watching TV, what role are you in? You're sort of entertainment consumer me. So you're sitting there consuming entertainment. You're not really, giving anything. You're not producing anything, but that's okay. I mean, so long as you produce enough, and you should have your time where you enjoy and can consume entertainment, and and be happy. And you might call that, I guess that's kind of dry, calling yourself entertainment consumer me, but you could call yourself TV lover me, or now that's always I don't want you sitting there flipping around just bored looking for something to watch. But if you have specific shows you're DVRing and you have and you're not watching junk, that's I'm okay with people watching TV. So but you can get addicted to so many time-wasting activities like getting on your phone, and now you might say, oh, I'm doing my social media for my business, but in reality you're just bouncing around and going on websites and looking on stuff that's not really helping. You're being productive. And there's so many things, even computer games. And I was surprised to find out one of my sisters-in-law, she loves this Candy Crush, to the point where she's spending hours every day playing Candy Crush on her phone. So is she addicted to that? Absolutely. You know what? I was actually addicted to playing hearts on the computer for a while. I had to actually break myself off that. I would go to the computer, and every time I'd go to the computer, I'd just want to play a quick game of Hearts, and I find myself, 15, 20 minutes later playing Hearts, and before I get to the work. So now that didn't kill me. I mean, I wasn't doing it for hours a day, and it wasn't like gambling where I was losing money. I wasn't betting on these Hearts games, but it was for sure a time waster. So in honor of Betty Ford today, just think about some of the things here that you might be addicted to that are not so healthy. And we're not talking about life dooming, addictions here. Now, here's another aspect I really want you to think about. I want you to think about emotions. I want you to think about what emotions you might be addicted to. When you think about addiction like this, how I'm talking here, you might actually come to the point where you think it's about time management, and it is. It is kind of about time management, and it's about your confidence as a person, though, too. Because if something's eating away at you and you're always wanting to do that, like smoking, if you're always wanting to go have a cigarette, if you smoke 1 cigarette an hour, how much of your time is that? It's not just the 5 minutes you're smoking the cigarette. It's the 5 minutes before the cigarette where you're thinking about smoking the cigarette. It's the 20 minutes before where you're looking at the clock wondering, okay, when is my next cigarette? And then it's the 5 minutes of cigarette. Then it's 5 minutes after the cigarette coming back and getting focused on work again. So that's an addiction that is definitely a huge time waster. And so addiction is very much related to time management. So I could almost say today is about time management, but really some of these addictions will actually really hurt you way beyond just wasting time. They'll hurt your health, and for sure, obviously, alcohol is one of those. But other things, eating, like eating a lot of sugar. Now, you could absolutely be addicted to sugar. I absolutely have seen people who are addicted to sugar, who eat a lot of sugar, and, are used to that spiky up and down all day, or Diet Cokes. I'll tell you, Lynette was addicted to Diet Coke. What do we do? Now, fortunately, I was addicted to Mountain Dew. We were both addicted to caffeine is what we were addicted to. So we were addicted to caffeine, and the Diet Coke or the Mountain Dew, Diet Mountain Dew, were the caffeine delivery device. And I realized, I saw Lynette, I looked at my soda drink, and I think, oh, that's not so good. I probably shouldn't be doing that. A couple of cans of Mountain Dew every day. Probably not the greatest thing health-wise for me. And I talk about health a lot. So it's sort of cognitive dissonance. Doesn't make sense to me. And then I would look at Lynette, though, and she'd be going out and running around, and she'd get these big Diet Cokes for lunch, and then she'd refill it, and she's tiny. She's like 100 and whatever, and I'm I'm not a lot bigger than her, but I could take more caffeine. So she's starting to drink all this caffeine, and I just realized this is really an unhealthy addiction, and so. There's no way I could harass her out of it. There's no way I could say, honey, you really should stop drinking Diet Coke. But what I did was I just quit drinking Mountain Dew. So she noticed we would go out to eat, and I would order iced tea and, not order Diet Coke or any, carbonated caffeine beverage. And so I went for about a month, and then she just said, well, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it. She's competitive that way. And so that was good. We used her natural competitiveness. And actually, this was about 4 years ago now. 4 years ago in October, this coming October, so about 3.5 years ago, we stopped drinking soda. So, that was an addiction. And I mean, it wasn't life-threatening. Well, not immediately life-threatening, although people kept talking about how bad Diet Coke was. Every time we'd be drinking Diet Cokes, people would say, hey, if you drop a nail in there, it's going to get eaten up, So, but let's look at now emotional addiction, okay? Because sometimes we're addicted to emotions. And look at your parents, okay? Look at your parents, how they handled different situations, disappointment, or things didn't go right, or how did they react? Did they get sad? Did they get mad? Probably you have some of that in you. You probably have some of those reactions because your parents are your first role models. So to be effective in real estate investing, you have to be effective in controlling your emotions, especially fear. Okay, so if you now what do you do when faced with fear? That's a lot of times when people turn to whatever addiction, they go watch TV or they go, do something else to not have to face the fear. So that's the challenge of real estate investing, because you got to get on the phone and you got to face that fear of getting on the phone and closing deals and doing some things you've never done before. So new things. So facing that fear, a real natural reaction for a lot of men is anger. So you mess up a call and you get mad. And you get mad at yourself and you get mad at the training, or you get mad at whatever, but you get mad, but where does that really get you? Okay, so you may be emotionally addicted to anger, for instance, or self-pity, something goes wrong and, oh, poor me. Now that's a role. We talk about roles all the time. Poor me is absolutely a role that you can get into. Also, people will get, I want you to name your roles. And when you feel a certain emotion, name that role. Poor me, that's self-pity me. So we don't want you feeling that way. We want you feeling positive and confident. So I want you to try to identify what emotions you may or may not be addicted to. But like if you get mad a lot, look today. Try to check yourself today. See what emotions, negative emotions, watch today. That's your assignment for today. Watch the emotions that you display today. And if it's a negative, situation, what kind of emotions are you bringing? Are you bringing positivity and faith that things are all going to be okay? Or are you kind of doomsdaying it and saying, oh, this is terrible, and getting mad? So look at what you're emotionally addicted to. Look at what you're addicted to on a broader scale, to really look at addressing things in your life to make your life a lot more positive. So in honor of Betty Ford, as I said, looking at this today, I think is really a really important day, an important thing to think about right now, because this summer is going to be great. This summer is going to be a big, successful summer for you doing deals, hopefully doing between 3 to 6 deals between now and the end of summer. And so if you're going to do that, you need to be focused, and you can't get lost, and you can't waste a bunch of time, and you can't get all emotional. You have to control your emotions through role control. And I can talk about that for another 20 minutes easily. So we're going to wrap it up there. But I'm going to say this, that let's do a positive affirmation. Okay? I will recognize and overcome my addictions. Okay, ready? I will recognize and overcome my addictions. Let's just do, I will overcome my addictions. 1, 2, 3. I will overcome my addictions. Remember, we're all addicted to, little minor addictions, but, some of them can be unhealthy. You can make little tiny changes. Like, now what I want you to be addicted to is smiling every morning. When you wake up, before you get out of bed, start each day with a smile. Get addicted to smiling. That's a really good thing to get addicted to. So try to smile all the time. And in fact, when you find yourself going into your negative emotional reaction to something, anger or being sad or whatever it is, I want you to put a smile on your face. Okay, I'm telling you, that will completely change your whole approach. And sometimes I get mad when I'm bowling, believe it or not. I get mad at myself when I miss a shot. And I actually did a very good experiment with role control by smiling every time I walked up there. I never had done that before. Every time I walked up to bowl, I put a big smile on my face. It changed my absolute game. I bowled a 203 that game, and I hadn't bowled for a really long time. So, and actually I messed up the first 2 frames because I wasn't thinking the right way. So in the last 8 frames, basically, I just killed it, strikes and spares in every frame. And so what did I change? I changed that, I just smiled, and it changed my role. So even a smile can change your role and how you approach things. So lots to cover today. I'm glad you're with me. Let's do our deep breathing. Okay, deep breath in. Always with a smile, because then you're in the right role. Hold it a second. Let it go. Okay. Nice deep breath in. Hold it a little bit and let it go. Okay. One more in. Okay. Loosen up your arms and your shoulder and your neck. Let it all out. Okay. Awesome. Let out those negative emotions. Anything you're addicted to today, identify it, and we're going to overcome it by picking better roles. You're just in a negative role. You're stuck in a negative role when you're in that addictive mindset. And so we're going to get you into a positive role through smiling and thinking of what role will get you out of that. If I'm strong dad, then I don't really get mad because I'm strong to overcome that. So there's lots of different ways. Wise Brian is one I use just because I like the sound of it. And when I'm wise, I don't get mad and be stupid. So guys, there's lots of different ways to think with role control to be much more positive and identify your addictions. And you know we're going to talk about this a lot more. So until we see you next time, and that's going to be today. Thursdays is always Thursdays Live with the Wolffs when we're out in the field doing some great real estate. We're going to see another house today, and so those are always great. And when you're participating, it's extra good. So really be commenting a lot, and we really appreciate that. So until we see you then later today, keep expecting success, getting awesome training, and taking action.